Thank you, everybody, for coming. Today we have some very important issues to discuss. We are very deeply troubled to learn that Congressman Brian Higgins has been directing his staff to intimidate the supporters of Egriu. A number of individuals who have signed our designating petitions have confirmed that Bonnie Kane Lockwood has approached them at their homes, where she made accusations of fraud against those petition signers and against the campaign. After identifying herself as being from Congressman Brian Higgins' office and presenting herself as a federal official, she caused these individuals enormous stress and fear, and in doing so, suggested that those petition signers could be sent to jail. She did this during weekdays, during business hours, when one would expect her to be working her taxpayer-funded position. Instead, she was engaging in partisan political activity that aimed to throw an election by terrifying Mr. Egriu's supporters. The campaign believes that Lockwood targeted immigrant communities on the West Side and in Lackawanna who are just now beginning to involve themselves in our political process for the first time, and many of whom barely speak English. Higgins chairs the Homeland Security Subcommittee that oversees the NSA's mass surveillance of American citizens. If Higgins is the kind of guy who tells his office staff to go bully the supporters of his political opponents at their homes, on their front porches, like a common street thug, imagine what he's willing to let the NSA get away with at the federal level. When Eddie Egriu is elected to Congress, he will fight to end the government's mass surveillance of American citizens who are not accused or under suspicion of criminality. We need to make it harder for thugs like Brian Higgins to strong-arm his political opponents. Ms. Lockwood was acting at the behest of Chuck Eaton, Mr. Higgins' chief of staff. Chuck Eaton exhibited an extraordinary lapse in judgment that raises serious questions about his office's ethical credibility in overseeing the NSA's surveillance programs. If the congressman knew about Mr. Eaton and Ms. Lockwood's actions, then he should resign his seat on the Homeland Security Committee, and his security credentials should be revoked for obvious reasons. This outrageously telling behavior corrupts our democracy and our electoral process. It represents the worst in our politics, and it cannot be tolerated. In addition to using federal employees to intimidate Mr. Egriu's supporters, Congressman Higgins has used his staffers, Teresa Kennedy, Chris Fahey, Megan Rizzuto, Lindsey Barnes, and Walter Koch to prepare a pack of concocted lies in an attempt to disqualify Mr. Egriu from the ballot. We suspect that they were doing so on government time during business hours. Enough is enough. Please join this campaign, and together we will end this practice of dirty politics on the taxpayer's dime. Now I'm going to introduce our campaign manager, Katrina Martin, to say a few words.
Hello. What I would like to say today is that we worked extremely hard in our petition collecting process. I'm a registered nurse by profession, and it is important to me to maintain integrity of the democratic process. I made sure that we did that. I made sure that we had at least 1,800 to 2,000 signatures door to door using a walk sheet. I find it highly suspicious and highly unlikely in relation to our challenges of doors that we actually approached are now no longer buildings or addresses. We will take our fight to the highest level of the land if need be, and we will maintain this integrity of this democratic process. We are going to beat Higgins fair and square, and all we ask for is our chance, our chance to give the people a voice. Higgins works for the people, and I think he has forgotten about that. We won't be bullied, we won't be intimidated, and we are poised and ready, and we accept all challenges. Thank you.
I'm Egriu, your next congressman to be. It's a shame how Western New York politics works for us these days, or has been working for our communities these days. It's a shame how Brian Higgins can operate similar to the old mafia days, except without a gun. How he can go to people's homes, how he can have his staff go to people's homes and scare them to death with somebody representing themselves as a federal official. What I'm asking for is Congressional Caucus to investigate the code of ethics of his staff, also including Brian Higgins. Someone had to give the orders to these people to go to knock on these doors. Are they doing it voluntarily, or are they doing it because they are afraid of losing their job? Brian, I've always been a fair game, but you turned this into a war. Now I'm ready for the battle. We expected you to do this to us because we didn't expect anything different from you. You like to keep a seat under control. You like to keep Buffalo under control, but you're only controlling the few, or I should say the few are controlling you. It's time for the people to get their chance to be heard in Washington, and I am the people's voice. I'll see you in the primary. On top of that, I'll see you in the general election. This race is mine. Thank you.
Any questions?
Just stay back there.
Sure.
What's the first gentleman? Your name and title.
Matthew Ricciazzi, spokesperson. Eddie Egriu for Congress. Ricciazzi is spelled Ricchiazzi. We suspect that the behavior of Congressman Higgins' staff could potentially violate the Federal Hatch Act, and we're calling on all federal authorities who have jurisdiction over that issue to initiate an investigation, including the House Ethics Committee. We're confident that Congressman Higgins' frivolous objections to our petitions will be thrown out in the courts, and our attorneys are preparing those motions accordingly.
Just to add to the petition drive, I have a bunch of volunteers and staff that are totally devoted in the honest fashion. We know how to do things honestly, but I guess we have to learn how to do things the other way. It's a shame that we fall into that category, but I guess I'm in the ring and the gloves must come on. And we have a lot of stuff that we've been doing, our own investigations on not only Brian Higgins, his chief of staff, Chuck, and the rest of them. We'll be bringing them all forth, and we'll be bringing them forth with facts. We will not do like they do, play dirty tricks with no facts. We will bring facts, and we'll do this the right way. Thank you.
Mr. Egriu, I have a question. You said in your prepared remarks that it's a shame what Western New York politics is doing. I said, we're from Western New York politics, the website. You weren't referring to us, were you?
No, I was referring to the people that are running the show around here.
Oh, okay.
I was referring to the 2%ers, as they call them. Oh, I should say I call them. Majority of the United States calls them 1%ers. Because those 1%ers exist because the other percent protects them. And the people are fooled. Look at what happened in Buffalo. They're telling us we got jobs. Yes, we did get jobs. We got part-time jobs. And we removed all the full-timers so that their numbers can go up. I'm not being fooled. The people that are not working are not being fooled because they're still not working. So it has nothing to do with Western New York politics as an organization. It has to do with the Western New York style of politics as in general. And I'm not talking just our Democratic Party, because a lot of our Democrats should not call themselves Democrats, because they do not represent the people.
Haven't you seen the cranes on the waterfront though?
I'm still looking for that crane because the east side can use a few of those cranes. South Buffalo can use them. Byron, you forgot your people. And the people are tired. And I'm here to represent them. Your time, why don't you go take that job that you've been promised at UB as the president? That's where you belong. It's time for you to go. You better leave now before this gets dirty, because I'm ready for it. Thank you, gentlemen. I have no more answers.